we'll happily take a look at Euro NZD. Look at this. So I had this level marked up. And let's talk about this one. So this is a 4-hour chart. Euro NZD made a quick run here on the open, right on up to major resistance at 1.68145. Euro NZD looks very interesting to me. In fact, let's go look. I believe this one has a bias on the edge finder. So Euro NZD, and you guys, if you are newer to my streams, we use the edge finder essentially to find trades that we talk about on the stream. Every day, what I do on my live stream is I go through the edge finder, the watch list that it's generating, and then I look for technical setups. And sometimes, maybe even in this case, possibly take a trade. So let's analyze Euro NZD together here. And I'm going to go through the whole process and we'll take this trade. I think this is actually one that I want to pick up a trade on. We have a -5 reading overall. COT data and retail sentiment are not in our favor, which is a negative thing, but the rest of the categories are. We have GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, trend to the downside. I like this thing on the short side. And, let's see. Are we at a 50% retracement or is that a 61.8? Yeah, just tag the 61.8. I wouldn't want to see price go above. We're looking at a 4-hour chart here. Maybe a 60 pip stop loss gives me a little bit of breathing room above the highs. We have resistance here that we're tagging. And you know what? I'm actually going to take this trade here as we are live. Now, please remember, I'm not here telling you what you should do with your trading account. This is not me saying, oh, here's the signal of the day or anything like that. This is what I'm doing. And, I have my own reasons for taking the trades that I take. I'm just going to risk $400 on this. So a small trade that's going to put us at 107,000 units, which is 1.0 lots. We're risking 60 pips to the upside. And let me see, where do I want to go with this guy? So let's go. We're going to go ahead and take this trade on both accounts. Let me go ahead and see where we're at with this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to make sure. So I like to mirror my trades in 2 different accounts. One that tracks the trades for convenience and of course, my OANDA account that you guys see here. So give me just a second. So we'll go sell, nope, not buy. We want to click sell, but make sure 60 pip stop loss still looks good. Yeah, we'll go ahead and sell. There we go. We're in the trade. Technicals look good, right? Retest 61.8 got tagged, showing rejection. Stop loss goes above the highs in case I'm wrong about this. And we are tagging resistance here looking left. So technicals look fine. Then the edge finder gives us that -5. That's why I'm actually going to place the trade. This gives me the confirmation that I need to actually pick up a trade. Downward trend, GDP, inflation, unemployment, interest rates all favor shorting the euro, buying the New Zealand dollar. And so we are in the trade. And there you go. Trade alert is out. For those of you guys who are inside the Discord channel, keep up with this. I'll be updating you on any positions I make here. Or any updates to the position. So we're in the trade, stop above the highs. My plan is to trail stop loss should this thing decide to go lower. All right, guys, so that trade from yesterday's live stream ended up doing really well. You can see we got in during the initial rejection point here once it tagged resistance, and now it has just continued to plummet to the downside. Now, my entries are not always this good, but this one was pretty dang tight. We ended up staying in the trade very, very easily, very minimal drawdown before this thing just continued to sink and sink and sink. And what I love about this even also is that if we narrow in a little bit on like the 1-hour chart, check this out. So you actually had a resistance point, or sorry, a trend line to the upside, right? A supportive level, break right through right here. You can see it tried to break, didn't quite break, came back up, failed, and then broke right through that trend line. Now with that trend line broken, we flushed the downside and now floating around $1,100 on the trade. So a really good spot to be in. I can't complain about this one for sure. And I would like to go ahead and trail some profit on this trade. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take this this stop loss order that I have over the previous highs. I think it's fair to say at this point, I would like to go ahead and lock in some profit. So let me go ahead and do that. So what I noticed is that this point was a really key spot for the chart. You can see we did find temporary support, but then after finding a lower high, we were able to convincingly break and even retest this area of support, now turned resistance. So in my view, market structure is telling me, okay, well, I don't want to see that stop loss I don't want to see market price go back above that level, because if price fails to hold this, if it were to retest, right? If it doesn't do that, if it actually breaks right through, we've kind of lost the momentum here to the downside, and that would be enough of a reason for me to jump out of the trade. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and modify this stop loss, and we'll go ahead and do that. So there you go, trade is modified, updated there, and now everything is running smooth. Okay, and I just paused that recording and now we're back. Let me show you something pretty cool. I just trailed stop loss here inside of the group. You can see what that looks like. So beautiful trade, like I said, so far. We've locked in that stop loss, just like I said, above resistance. If that breaks, we'll be out of the trade. I'll take that profit. Locking in about $380, which is if you remember, our initial trade was about a $400 loss. So locking in about $400 puts us at a 1R sort of locked in with this trade. So good spot to be in. We'll trail stops here from here if the market will let us. Ideally, the next spot for me is to watch to see if we can actually break through support here at 1.6582. If that happens, then we'll start paying attention to this a little bit more. But until then, I'm going to try and just give this some room to run. Again, really like this flush. Would like to see this thing take out the lows before I make another move. So we'll go ahead and pause and come back soon. Euro NZD, check on the NZD trade. So we're looking good so far. And again, going off what I just explained, right? Once the edge finder has a bias, for those of you guys who are training with the edge finder, you're learning how to trade with the edge finder, here's what I like to do. I say this often, but this is the strategy, okay? The edge finder helps us primarily with a fundamental bias. It doesn't do the technical analysis for us. So many of you guys might already have technical strategies that you're using, right? But you don't use any level of fundamentals. Fundamentals can be really helpful because let's say that fundamentally an asset like Euro NZD is being pointed towards a bearish bias, right? Meaning the euro is less attractive than the New Zealand dollar, which is more attractive. Okay, so that tells us this pair, we fundamentally are going to be more on the short bias. How do we get that? Well, the edge finder breaks it all down for you, makes it automated. And that's why a lot of people really love it, myself included. I'm a little bit biased since I built it and we also sell it. So take that with a grain of salt, but I genuinely think it is a pretty unprecedented tool and it is very awesome. Anyways, the fundamental analysis, let's say it points bearish. Okay, cool. But then does the technicals point bullish? Because if the technicals point bullish, there's no trade there for me. But in the case that we actually took a trade here on stream today, Euro NZD, we picked this up earlier in the stream. To me, technically, this looks very bearish because you have lower highs and potentially a lower high coming in right here. You even retested major resistance, right? And you have the Fibonacci retracement. So this is an example of a trade scenario that we took because everything married up. Now, of course, the trade could still go wrong, could still fly against us and take us out for a loss. I'm not saying it's a perfect strategy that never loses. I'm just saying that for me, if I'm going to take a trade, I need this and this to agree. And so for me, technical analysis looks bearish. Fundamental analysis looks bearish from the edge finder's help. So for those of you guys who are newer to using the edge finder, or you're trying to learn how to employ it, learn the training behind it, this is a great way to think about it. The fundamental analysis from the edge finder assists in one component, and then the technical analysis is still where we have to do our due diligence, find entries, stop loss placements, etc. Right? Hopefully that all makes sense. But again, that's how I use the edge finder, and that's how I I combine it with my own technical charting as we take a look at all the data. That gives us a bias, and then we actually go place the trades. Euro New Zealand is running nicely here this morning, you guys. We've got the trade open from the stream 2 days ago where we initially took the trade. So we're still running hot. This week's trade is going very, very well with that initial entry up here at resistance. Real quick, as we get started here on the stream, let me remind you, if you're new to the stream, we do these Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. US Eastern. I don't want you to miss a stream, so make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and click the notification bell. We're going to be doing some chart breakdowns as well as some top trading setups for today. Nick, did you poop today? No, I didn't. First of all, the trade that I'm in on Euro New Zealand, you can probably see the reasoning behind the trade. In hindsight, it is awesome and very clear. We retested a level of resistance. We drew our fibs from swing high to swing low. And as price pulled back, I ended up picking it up on the short side here at past resistance. So nice start to the trade. And one thing that I really liked about Euro New Zealand was that when we came down to this little counter trend, we actually failed on the buy side to hold this. And that little breakout ended up being a nice flush to the downside. So I have my Euro NZD trade. And my stop loss is in place on this one. If this thing breaks through resistance, if it breaks through here, I'll be out of the trade. In fact, I might actually trail this a little tighter, to be honest. Hold on. I mean, this is a very clear lower high. You know what? I'm actually going to lock in some more stop on that right now, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and trail this stop loss right here. So we're going to lock $630 in on this trade. So 1.67142. There we go. 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lock in my stop loss there. For those of you who are inside of the Discord channel, stay tuned with me here. I'm just going to update this. If this thing breaks through this level now, I'm going to be stopped out of my trade for a profit. So my initial entry is over here. We've moved all this way down. Beautiful. Lower highs, lower lows, looking good. I want to see this thing roll over fairly quickly, or I'm going to take profit on it. That's my current thought process on this chart. You know, and in hindsight, if this thing rallies all the way up to my stop loss, why didn't I just close it here? This is a dangerous game to play, right? That game of hindsight. It is the crushing blow to so many traders. They can't possibly, you know, understand. Like it's very easy in hindsight. Like, oh, I should have sold here and covered here, right? But this is the challenging part of trading. It's very easy to trade on this side of the chart. It's very hard to trade on this side of the chart. Euro New Zealand continues to crash to the downside here, and I'm going to actually go ahead and trail stops even further than where I was on stream. So currently we're floating $1,700 on this trade, which is really quite impressive, considering, you know, we almost got stopped out here, and then we just had this really wild candle. You can see here's your 15-minute chart. A massive sell-off came into the chart and ultimately put us into really good profit here. So we currently have a stop loss at $630 of profit. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to show you guys the hourly chart where we actually just printed a nice little reversal off of this area I just talked about. And not only that, we're actually trading below support. And with this new low, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to mark this as now supply, and we're going to go ahead and trail stops just a bit tighter. Now, I'm keeping this relatively loose. You'll notice I didn't move it, you know, way down here. I possibly could do that if I wanted to trail a bit tighter, but I'm keeping this loose for a reason. We have what I would call here a really nice runner, right? For lack of better terms, a really nice runner is basically just a trade that's running pretty seamlessly in our direction. And I don't want to jump in front of that until the market gives me reason to do so. So possibly, or basically the logic here with this is that if this thing does start to break back above, you know, and starts making a move higher, I just want to give this thing a chance to reverse. But if it doesn't and we break through resistance, that'll be my cue to go ahead and take profits on this trade. So at this point, I'm floating $760 on this trade. In the worst case scenario, that's a great spot to be in, considering you know, this trade almost stopped us out here on the swing back during that live stream. But of course, we just trusted the analysis. We stuck with the trade and we've rolled over really nicely. So I've trailed that stop loss just behind market structure here. I don't want to see this taken out. Otherwise, we'll be out of the trade. And next steps for this trade is just continuing business as usual. I'm looking for this new low. And then ideally what I'm looking for would be to see some sort of higher low. Sorry, a lower high, getting all confused here now. I'm looking for a lower high here, at which case I can go ahead and trail stops even further into profit and possibly lock in a bigger profit on this trade. Now, at this point, I just want to pause. many times at this point in a trade, what oftentimes will happen is this chart will just completely reverse. And if that happens here today, yeah, it's going to be a little bit disappointing. But very often, if I just take profits here, I could be leaving a massive runner on the table. So there's always sort of that hindsight bias when it comes to trading, what you shoulda, coulda, woulda done. But for me, I'm going to let the market tell me when it's time to get out. And I've set my parameters. A break above this 1.66789 level will get me out of the trade for a small, well, not small, actually a pretty decent sized profit, $760, especially on a trade I only risked $400 on. This is a good spot to be in. You know what? I'm gonna come back to this in trail stops in just a moment. That's something we got to do. We did in fact get a lower high here, which is my signal to go ahead and trail stops further, especially before a news event. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and trail stops on my Euro NZD trade. Let me do that before I forget to do so. Okay, so we're gonna lock in. We are currently floating about $2,400, $2,500 of profit, which is fantastic on the trade. And we're going to go ahead and modify this position, just trail it in. And the thought process behind this, you guys can see this little orange line. It makes it a little easier to see where my stop loss is. This stop loss is now locked into place. We have officially put in a lower high, confirming that, this market is still bearish and looking good. So I want to hold on to the trade, but I'm going to go ahead and secure more profits on the trade. So at this point, the trade cannot lose money. In the worst case scenario, we're going to close out around $1,700 of profit, which is a really good spot to be in. And we'll take that. So what I'm going to do here is, just before I forget to do so, let me get this alerted to members inside of the Discord channel. Floating 360 pips in profit and just locked in 258 on a trailing stop loss. Before the news event, I just wanted to sort of take inventory there. All right, guys, we are all out of Euro NZD. This was a trade that ended up taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. I entered last Monday, and here 1 week later on a Monday morning, I am all out of my trade for a profit. Let's go take a look, of $1,747. It's been a pretty good last couple weeks. We've had a couple good trades on the channel. I think after seeing this thing break through resistance, there may still be an opportunity to try and re-enter, possibly if we tag up into this area today, 1.6615. Might be another entry, but the point is today we stuck to the rules. We closed out of a trade. It hit our stop loss there for our trailing profit, and we will call that a trade. That to me was a good example of my strategy. Of course, we were able to trail stops and catch a lot of that run. Had I only taken profits here, I might have left some on the table. Of course, I would have ideally liked this thing to continue to shoot through the lows, and at one point we were floating more in profit, but there's always a hindsight, shoulda, coulda, woulda when it comes to trading. Right, in hindsight, I could have told you, I should have taken profits there because it was resisting this level, right? But this is trading in real time. And when it comes to trading in real time, we don't have the benefit of hindsight. And all we can do is let the market do its thing and react accordingly. That is my trading style. It's very reactionary. If you'd like to learn more, you'd like to see my trades in real time, I send trade alerts to members within our private Discord channel. If that's something you're interested in, make sure to check the links in the description. You can sign up and get those trade alerts inside of our Discord channel, and make sure to use that promo code that's down there. If you use code YTVIP, you'll get a discount on your membership as a YouTube subscriber. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time. It looks like you made it to the end of one of my videos. Thank you so much for supporting my content. It really means the world to me. And down below in the description, I put together some of my best resources for aspiring traders who are looking to improve. I've got some free downloads that could help you, some broker recommendations, and if you'd like to join our Discord or get access to some of our trading software, all of that will be linked down below in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.